Time now for the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
Though it is time once again for the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on WYKR. I'm Joshua Smith, and this week Gary Moore brings us a great conversation with Tessa McGann and Kate Forer from Women and Our Woods. They're going to talk about forestry, stewardship, and the importance of getting more people connected to the land right here in our region. It's going to be a conversation that really speaks to the heart of what the outdoors means to all of us, whether you work the land, walk the woods, or just enjoy being out in it. And we'll also get you set up for the days ahead with our Outdoor Edge forecast with Mark Breen at the Fairbanks Museum. So settle in. It's all coming up right here on the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge.
Welcome to Thoughts on the Outdoors. With me tonight are two women who are involved in Women and Our Woods, or otherwise known as WOW Vermont. And I think you'll be wowed when you hear about some of the things that they and the organization are doing. Here tonight is Tessa McGann. She's a Vermont County Forester. Her jurisdiction or her responsibility is southwestern Vermont, so we're talking Rutland and Bennington County. I believe you said you live in Townsend?
I live in Townsend,
yep.
Yes. Yeah.
And also Kate Forer, she's Executive Director of Vermont Woodlands Association. She lives over in Tunbridge, over the hill here. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gary, for having us.
Please tell us a little about Women in Our Woods, how it came about.
Yeah, sure, Gary. Well, I'm happy to kick it off. So WOW Vermont really started back in 2014 when a number of organizations came together to offer women-centered programming. For a little bit of context for your listeners, about 20% of Vermont's forest land is owned solely by women landowners, and it equates to about 475,000 acres. So, women have a pretty significant impact on our forest land here in Vermont. And our Vermont Woodlands Association...
Plus, I looked at your website, they co-own another 44%. That's a pretty significant number.
Yeah, that's correct, Gary. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. So it's about 1 million acres that women influence in their stewardship. So it's really women have a really big influence on our forest land here in Vermont. And so to assist them, to help them care for the land, and like I said, in 2014, partners came together to offer women-centered programming. Around that time too, we started realizing that women as women landowners. So around 2014, partner organizations came together to support women landowners through women-centered programming. Around the same time, we started seeing research coming out of the U.S. Forest Service that really highlighted that women landowners, were less inclined to participate in sort of the traditional forestry educational programs that were being offered. And so we came together to be able to offer programs that were really centered on, women's needs, women's interests, and to really bring women together into community to learn about our forests and the work of caring for them.
Now, your main function is your Vermont Woodlands Association. Is this came about a spinoff from Vermont Woodlands Association?
Yeah, well, so Vermont Woodlands Association was one of the early kind of adopters of offering women-centered programming because, at the time our executive director realized that women were a really important part of our landowner base here in Vermont, and that we wanted to offer programs, that they were comfortable in participating in, and that they were, interested in participating in. So Vermont Woodlands Association is where WOW VT is a collaboration of all sorts of organizations, and I can list those in a second.
I'd say VWA is one of the founding organizations, but I at the same time I wouldn't call WOW a spinoff of VWA.
Thanks, Tessa, for bringing me back to the question because I kind of lost my train of thought. So Vermont Woodlands Association, was one of the early adopters, one of the early organizations to offer women-centered programming, and it is one of our core programs, but it's not the only program that we offer. We are a statewide nonprofit organization that works to support forest landowners forestry professionals as well as loggers in the care and stewardship of our forest land here in Vermont. We do that through a whole variety of different programs, WOW being one of them. And the Vermont Tree Farm is another program you might have heard of.
Right.
Your listeners might have, as they're traveling around the state of Vermont, they might have seen those green and white diamond-shaped signs that say water, wildlife, recreation, and wood. I always forget the fourth one. I wish they were all W's, but they're not. And so that's one of our core programs that recognizes landowners.
You can see one of those signs if you enter my property.
Oh, you are in the Tree Farm program. Excellent. So that's one of our programs that recognizes landowners who do good stewardship on the land.
Good. Tessa, what do you do as executive director of? Excuse me.
I'll just say a little bit about why I'm here, how I'm involved with WOW. I'm one of the newest members of the steering committee of.
Because you're both on the steering committee, is that correct?
Both on the steering committee, yeah. And I just joined in the fall. In my role as county forester, we do a lot of outreach with landowners around the state. We oversee the tax program current use, which I think plays a huge role in helping landowners take care of their land, have the ability to do that, and maintain ownership of their land. But we want to encourage good stewardship along all pathways. So I do a lot of outreach and education. I am affiliated with Vermont Woodlands Association. I'm the chair of their education committee, and so I help think about education programming in that way. And I also think a lot about women in forestry. I'm one of the founding members of an organization called Women Foresters Collaborative, which is something else, but it's specifically focused on bringing together women foresters across the Northeast. So it's something I think about a lot, and the state is a supporting partner of WOW Vermont, so when they were looking for someone from the state to
When you say that,
help
you're
out,
talking Forest Parks and Recreation, for whom you work, is a big supporter of
WOW, yeah.
That would make sense.
It would make sense. So then it made sense for me to step in and participate in the steering committee. So I'm really happy to be there. But I just will also provide the context that I am one of the newer folks there. So Kate certainly knows a little bit more about the history and all of that.
Good.
Yeah.
Kate?
Sure, yeah. So like I was saying, the group of the WOW organization or the WOW initiative really has been around for a number of years. But I would say really in 2019 is kind of when we really started to become more active. And we brought a number of other partner organizations on for our steering committee. WOW VT, like I said, is a partner initiative. We have folks helping out and participating from the Vermont Land Trust. We now recently, Audubon Vermont has joined our steering committee. Tessa obviously is participating as part of Department of Forest Parks and Recreation. We also have folks from Fish and Wildlife who are on the WOW steering committee. Myself from Vermont Woodlands Association, Vermont Coverts, the Forest Stewards Guild is also participating. And then I think that's it, yeah.
And then Carmen.
Yeah, we just recently added, thank you, Tessa, we just recently added a representative from the UVM Forestry School.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so a senior forestry major at the University of Vermont, who's an incredible addition to help us connect
Wonderful,
with
great.
Those younger audiences.
Well, I think that's a good place for us to pause for a minute.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
We live somewhere incredible, and all of us at the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department want you to make the most of it. Hiking, hunting, birding, fishing, or even just sitting by a stream for a few minutes after work. Vermont's woods and waters make it possible, and protecting them is our responsibility. So we hope you'll lace up your boots and hike an old woods road on one of our wildlife management areas, or put in for a day at the lake at one of our access areas. We protect these places for their own sake, for the wildlife who call them home, and for you.
The Autosaver Group's St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram asks, do your outdoor adventures take you to where you wish you had a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? At St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, explore their vast inventory of adventure-savvy four-wheel drives and all-wheel drive vehicles, ready for you to drive at home. Plus, every St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram deal includes the Big Deal Plus, which is a 2-year unlimited scheduled maintenance plan, which includes free state inspections for life. Stop in today in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, or shop St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram online at stjohnsburycdjr.com.
Miles Supply, your stop for all your general business products, paper towels, toilet paper, first aid kits, and more. Purchase your paper and soap products from Miles, and they'll install the dispensers for free. Do you own a salon, restaurant, coffee shop, or gym making a monthly run to the big box store for your business supplies? Save time with Miles Supply. Call today for a sales visit, 476-3963, or walk directly into their showroom, 143 Boynton Street next to Spalding High School. Miles Supply, family-owned and building relationships since 1954.
Welcome back to Thoughts on the Outdoors. With me tonight are Tessa McGann and Kate Forer. Welcome back, ladies. We were talking about WOW, Women in Our Woods, and we've got quite a bit of history in this previous few minutes here, so let's go from there. Kate?
Yeah, so Gary, we were talking a little bit about why WOW exists and the fact that there's that women really are play an important role in shaping our forest land here in Vermont. And like I was saying, women really nationally, what we are seeing is that women are becoming the primary decision makers of land, especially as women oftentimes outlive their partners or their family members. And so, engaging women as landowners and providing them with information and resources and really a community to learn about caring for the land is really important. And so we're looking to get the word out to help folks find WOW, folks who are interested in participating in our programs.
Yeah, and I guess I just wanted to add that I don't think I help put on a lot of workshops for landowner education and just forest enthusiasts education, as does Kate. And we just don't always see women represented at that rate, the 20% and the 44%. And I think that's for a lot of reasons, but sometimes they're not always treated like the decision maker, the primary forestry decision maker. Most of the professionals are men, and so they might
not all.
Not all. I mean, I know I'm not.
When we got involved with current use, my forester was a female.
I love.
She started Red Start, as you know.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, Jenny Barlow.
Yes,
Yeah,
certainly. Certainly not all, but we are the women foresters. We're still hanging out around 20 to 25% ourselves.
I'm just saying that.
Being intentional about having a space where women can be
Certainly,
comfortable. And
Jenny
connect with
was
each
heavily
other.
involved for a long time. Now she's stepped back, obviously, but
Yeah, and she was, quite a pioneer. I mean, she's an amazing woman, and really, I think, in the Upper Valley and throughout kind of central Vermont, had an amazing impact on our forests and forest stewardship. So, unfortunately, Gary, I mean, I think, as Tessa was saying, I think she is sort of unique in that, I think historically there haven't been very many women, represented in the forestry sector. But I think more importantly, when focusing on the numbers and representation of women, it's really just about bringing people together in community to learn together.
Yeah.
Right? And so we really try to make our WOW events more about coming together as people who are interested, want to learn something about the forest or forestry, or looking to gain a skill. As we all know, our forests are facing a lot of challenges right now, from invasive species to climate change. I think, one of the other things that we're talking about WOW programs, and, folks, I think here in Vermont and even New Hampshire, where I know some of your listeners are from, we value the forest for all sorts of different reasons. And so the WOW program tries to offer a whole array of different workshops and webinars and opportunities, again, really to get women out in the woods, learning and talking and
building
connecting.
skills, and in a space where there's no fear of asking questions and
gaining some of that confidence that's needed, I think, to make decisions about your kids.
Well, making them feel comfortable, making them not afraid to ask questions. It has been a male-dominated, what I don't want to say, but male-dominated profession, and certainly, as you've indicated, for a long time, the males were making most of the decisions about land. But that's changing. And that's important, but in order for the women to step up, they need support and they need education. And I know some of the programs you've been running are great. And it's not just you, but the game of logging has been around for a long time. And that's every bit as valuable to a woman as a man.
Absolutely, Gary. And we do offer women game of logging programs. We offer women chainsaw classes in the fall. And I guess the other thing I would say is that the model of the way that we provide these educational programs, I think, is just as important as gender. So a WOW program oftentimes is really about learners showing up and sharing their experience and their own knowledge. So in WOW programs, we really intentionally try to focus on everybody has something to contribute to the program. So, a lot of times it's not necessarily one presenter, or we're not bringing an expert who's going to talk the whole time. It's really about more being out in the woods and having a conversation.
I've got a question for you about WOW programs. Say the chainsaw program.
Yeah.
Is that program you offer strictly for women?
Well, that's a great question, Gary. So when we offer it through WOW, we always say that it's women-centered, but we don't turn anybody away. We've had husbands come, and they're welcome to participate, welcome to join.
And same thing with game.
Sons, children, yeah. Game with the chainsaws, maybe fewer children, but all our other programs are open. Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely, we have had spouses and husbands participate, and I find that, again, like I said, the WOW program model is more about sort of learning community, and I think that everybody can.
Well, sometimes women are reluctant to ask questions if the men are there, or really feel comfortable. I'm just basing that question on years of being involved in hunter safety and so forth.
I think you're right.
Teaching hunter safety, teaching shooting, the women tend to do better if there are only females there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that if you have both groups, the women will always outshoot the men. Anybody who teaches hunter safety can tell you the women will pay attention and do what you say and learn it right, where the men already think they know everything. And so they're using all the bad habits. And I assume,
Well, it's funny, I've been doing forestry education in Vermont for over 20 years, wearing different hats. But one of the things that I found when I first started working in forestry in Vermont was when you showed up to any of these programs, you would have the husband introduce the wife. So, and I think, one of the things that we intentionally have thought about with WOW is, to sort of try to move away from that dynamic, right? So, and in all of our programming, from Vermont Woodlands Association, all of our partner organizations, we see less of that these days, frankly. I don't see it as much as I did when I first started. And I think that speaks to a lot of different things. Obviously I'd like to take credit for WOW, for some of that, but I think it's really more change in times and, change in...
Right, change the society.
Exactly.
I know in my long experience with Vermont Coverts, the amount of women that are involved now attending our 2 sessions a year increasing in number, so many of the times it's more women than men, and that's been a big benefit.
Absolutely, yeah. I think across all of our organizations, I think some of the work that WOW has done really to bring women sort of into the conversation about forestry and forest stewardship, and some of the work that Tessa has done with the Vermont or the larger forestry collaborative, or
the Women Foresters Collaborative.
Yes, with the Women's Foresters Collaborative, has had an impact. And when I think back, we have been offering, these women-centered programs since 2014. That's a long history. We're probably in Vermont, we're probably unique in that respect. I'm not sure if our neighbors, on either side of us have been offering women-centered programming for quite as long as we have. Although I will acknowledge that, I think we do have there are other efforts happening in New York and New Hampshire,
in the region and across the country.
Yeah. There's a national network of WOW, which offers a great number of resources online, and really, I think helps to kind of support. Although there's no actual affiliation, there is a national WOW network that has helped over the years to bring WOW programs across the country together. To learn and share experiences and really kind of help us in our work of supporting women landowners.
Well, those of us that live here on the border of Vermont and New Hampshire realize that, any programs we run, I don't care what it is, the people are attending from both sides of the river. And
we welcome them. There is an organization, New Hampshire has their own Women in the Woods, right out of UNH, and I think they also offer an annual weekend conference called the Women Landowner
But you're more than happy to have someone from Grafton County come over across the river and be in your program.
More than happy. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tessa, do you want to add anything before we take another break?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, let's pause.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
At R&L Archery, we know it's not just about the thrill of the hunt or the size of the fish. It's about the moments that matter most, the traditions passed down from one generation to the next, and the stories told by the fire long after the sun is set. It's about the journey, the memories, and the time spent together with friends and family, because these are the moments that truly last a lifetime. R&L Archery, where every adventure begins. Come create your story.
You've picked the paint colors, maybe even sketched a layout on the back of an envelope, or made the playlist for your grand opening. But without a design, it's just a dream. Riverside Design Works in Bradford makes those dreams real for families and small businesses across the Upper Valley. Affordable, functional, and community-focused, we build for your needs and within your budget. But heads up, the 2026 construction season is booking fast. If you want shovels in the ground next year, you need plans today. Keep it simple. Riverside Design Works. Smart choices, reliable results.
Every business story starts small. As you share your story, it creates movement, and movement builds momentum. Your social media and website are the conduits for that story. It's about more than clicks and views. It's about creating connection, community, and opportunity to do business. It's time to tell your story. Go to northeastkingdomonline.com. Our local Vermont team can help you get more from your online media. Once again, that's northeastkingdomonline.com.
The Autosaver Group St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram asks, do your outdoor adventures take you to where you wish you had a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? At St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, explore their vast inventory of adventure-savvy four-wheel drives and all-wheel drive vehicles ready for you to drive at home. Plus, every St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram deal includes the Big Deal Plus, which is a 2-year unlimited scheduled maintenance plan, which includes free state inspections for life. Stop in today in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, or shop St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram online at stjohnsburycdjr.com.
This is Sonia from Bachelor Carpentry. March into spring with Bachelor Carpentry. Now is the time to plan your spring projects, whether it's a new deck for summer barbecues or a sunroom to enjoy the early spring blooms. We specialize in turning your plans into reality with precision and care. Head to vtcarpenter.com today to start your journey towards a beautiful home this spring.
When spring finally gets here, folks around here don't waste much time getting back outdoors. From fishing tackle and turkey season supplies to the basics that make a day outside go smoother, CCR Sports in St. Johnsbury is ready to help. They know what local outdoor folks need this time of year, and they're happy to help them get ready. Visit ccrsports.net today. CCR Sports has something for all seasons and all ages. And in the North Country, you need both covered.
Welcome back to Thoughts on the Outdoors. Again, my guests tonight are Tessa McGann and Kate Forer. I'm going to butcher that name repeatedly, Kate.
That's okay. It's Forer.
Forer.
Yeah.
My apologies, but I'll do it again. We're talking about WOW Vermont, Women in Our Woods. I'll turn to you, Kate.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. So just, for some of your listeners, some examples of some of the programs that we've offered in the past. We usually every fall do a chainsaw safety training for women that's actually run by women instructors. We contract with 2 sisters, actually, who provide all of the training and education for a day-long workshop. And that's really one of our popular workshops because it really helps women landowners feel more confident in not only running a chainsaw, but being able to do maintenance. We spend, almost the entire day sort of focused on kind of understanding saw dynamics and breaking apart a chainsaw and learning how to maintain it and sharpen it. And then we also spend time actually trying on PPE, or personal protective equipment. So they actually bring like a whole wardrobe chest full of chaps and helmets and so you get to see all the different brands and all the different styles, and our participants get to actually try them on, so you can decide whether you want the wraparound traps or the I can't even think of what
full-on chainsaw pants.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
it's important to know what you're comfortable in. Comfort and
because I think
safety
a lot of people go to the
huge.
hardware store, right, and they find a pair that's just one size fits all.
Right.
But of course, as we know, the safety equipment is so important.
Either it's above their ankles or they're stepping on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. If it doesn't fit right, you're less likely to wear it, and also it's less safe, right? Less protection. So we spend a day, a part of the day actually trying on different chaps and learning kind of about the pros and cons of each one, and then we actually, we know, if your safety equipment is not comfortable, you're less likely to wear it.
Correct.
Right? And so that's really
And you
why
won't
we
wear it
do so.
appropriately.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we go outside and we actually, use different types of saws. So they bring a whole assortment of different types of chainsaws, different sizes, electric saws, gas-powered saws, and we get to just, sounds silly, but we get to kind of just play and actually experience.
Feel comfortable, though.
Well, and that's part of it.
That can be a scary piece of equipment, a chainsaw.
Absolutely. We have a lot of women landowners who participate who have either never run a saw or haven't run a saw for a really long
It's
time.
also a pretty dangerous piece of equipment.
It's very dangerous, and it's important for them. So I was, I was sort of kidding when I said play, but
I understand.
But
I mean,
the intent is really to help them in a safe environment feel comfortable using the equipment. And then again, the idea is that if they decide to go out and purchase it, they've had a little bit of experience and they know what feels comfortable and right for them.
what size they want.
Yeah,
But it also depends on what they want to do with it.
Well,
Are they going to spend all the time pruning trees, or are they going to be out felling 2-foot diameter trees?
But they get to talk to the professionals and work that out.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. And what I find is that, most of these women are not out looking to, not participating because they're looking to go out and fell trees.
Yeah,
or,
not become a logger.
Yeah, they're not interested in cutting trees down, but they're blocking up firewood, or, they have a blowdown in their yard and they're looking to do some of that work of cleanup. I had one woman who said to me at the last training, she said, we had this really big windstorm. A tree came across my yard and across my driveway, and it took me almost 2 weeks to be able to get out of my house, just
to get somebody to come and cut it up.
because she was waiting for somebody to come help her to cut it up, and she said, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, and so she said, I'm really inspired to come here so that I can feel more secure in taking care of that in the future, and I think she did.
And you're emphasizing safety.
Exactly.
That's why you start with the equipment and so forth, because in my many years on a rescue, the worst injury you're ever going to see is a chainsaw injury. Chainsaws do not cut human flesh, they tear it.
Yes.
It's the ugliest wound you'll ever see.
Well, they're really dangerous, and it's really important for folks to feel like, to have the knowledge and understanding of how they work. So, we look at kind of the no-cut zone, right, where, if you look at a chainsaw bar, where kickback is more likely to happen, right, and some of those dynamics that happen out in when you're actually using a saw. And so that's really all part about that's what the day is all about. And, again, I would say, like, that's just one example. Not everybody wants to learn how to run a chainsaw, right? And so, we do programs. Tessa, we did a tree identification walk a couple years ago, right? And we've done some invasives walk. What are some of the other programs that we've offered?
We've offered, I think, some bird identification walks, talked about maple sugaring for women landowners. Those are
Invasive species, that's a big thing. I know.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot to take in. If you're thinking about invasives on your land, but both identifying them, so knowing what you have, how much you have, and then trying to decide how you're going to manage it, how you're going to deal with it.
Yeah, and just identifying it. Everybody can spot Japanese knotweed,
hopefully.
But there are a lot of those invasives that most people don't recognize. They don't know they're invasive.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's more all the time.
Yes, there are.
Unfortunately. Well,
Things move.
And not only invasive plants, right? But, as we all, here we are in the studio outside of Wells River, and, emerald ash borer is a big concern.
Yes.
You guys are seeing a lot more. I was driving up through Groton on my way here, seeing all the, dying ash trees from emerald ash borer.
Yeah, definitely. And beech trees.
Of course, yeah.
On that topic, we actually have a workshop coming up where we'll be talking a little bit about beech trees, about beech bark disease and managing for that, which we've been doing in Vermont for a few decades now. But new on the horizon is beech leaf disease, which you and your listeners may have heard of.
I'm cutting a lot of beech.
Yeah.
Dave Pagnelli told me to just keep cutting.
Keep cutting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a new pestilence on beech. It's a nematode, a small worm that impacts the leaves and the beech's ability to photosynthesize. And it's making its way to Vermont. It's mostly in the southern Connecticut River Valley so far, but there is one infestation on the Jericho Research Forest. That's a University of Vermont research forest in Jericho, Vermont, and we'll be hosting a walk there on April 18th.
Good.
I think that's our next upcoming event. It's a Saturday.
Well, depending on your age, a lot of people now that are owning forests involved don't remember the big die-off from spruce budworm, where it devastated whole sections of the Northeast.
Yeah. Well, and Dutch elm disease too, right? I still talk to a lot of landowners who have experienced their, Dutch elm disease and the loss of shade trees.
Oh, yeah.
And elm.
Well, look at the pictures from not the turn of this century, the early 1900s on up to most all of towns of Vermont. The main streets were lined with beautiful elm trees.
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of changes to our forests and to our trees here in Vermont over, a long span of time. And the work that we're doing with WOW is really to help support women landowners in understanding some of those changes.
In order to make educated decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and be able to take action too, right? Because not all of it, a landowner doesn't necessarily have to take action, but if they want to, do some invasives management, there are things that landowners can do, either hand pulling or other, treatments.
Maybe get the chainsaw out.
If it's a really bad infestation, that sometimes the chainsaw can come in handy with invasives. So there's definitely a lot of things that landowners in general can do to care for their land, and so that's what we try to promote through WOW and through all of our organizations.
Yeah. Well, again, getting back to the amount of women, the percentage of land that either is owned outright by women or co-owned by women. One thing about current use is you're allowed to draw up a plan. And
you're required to draw up a
well,
plan.
yes, that's absolutely right. Spoken like a true county forester who has to come and make sure those plans are being followed, right?
Yes.
But the individual landowner gets to set their priorities.
Yes.
Do you want to focus on wildlife? Do you want to focus on timber production? Do you want to focus on recreation? Each of those requires different treatments. And I don't care if it's a male or female landowner, if they don't understand what the options are, they really can't make educated decisions about what they want.
That's very true. So we're trying to make sure they know what their options are.
Our plan, my wife and I have had a plan for years. Number one is wildlife. Number two is recreation. Number three is productive, forestry production, whether it's pulp or logs.
Yeah.
But that, we're not in it to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we sell helps pay for the taxes, and that's pretty critical in Vermont.
Absolutely, yeah.
We were able to make some of those decisions with the help of Ginny Barlow and others, and I think not just you, WOW, but Vermont Woodlands, Vermont Coverts, some of these other organizations are helping people and getting the women who are the landowners involved is critical.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're about, Gary, is getting this information, these resources, and creating a community for landowners to be a part of. I think about, so many of these reasons that you mentioned, they're not mutually exclusive. You can manage for wildlife, and you can promote biodiversity, and, you can do a timber harvest.
Right.
So, I think that's one of the important points about, the work of caring for our forest land here in Vermont is that, we can implement a whole variety of different goals with, by doing a timber harvest. And
right.
They're not mutually exclusive, right? And so
they absolutely are not.
We know that, creating more wildlife habitat, or improving biodiversity, or, making our forests more healthy and resilient, can be done through active management.
Right.
Thanks for saying that, Kate.
I'm glad to hear that you guys are already.
All right. Well, I think we wanted to share a little bit about upcoming events for
Absolutely.
listeners. We have a really awesome lineup through the spring into the early summer. All kinds of different topics we're going to cover. I mentioned briefly before, we're kicking it off with a walk in the Jericho UVM's Jericho Research Forest in Jericho, Vermont. That's Saturday the 18th from 12 to 2. Okay. That'll be led by Jess Weichel, who is a professor at UVM, and she also manages all of their research forests. She's a licensed forester, and she'll be showing off some of the management that she's done. It's small-scale work, things that landowners might be able to do themselves. And again, this will be a woman-centered walk, but everyone's welcome. And they will also talk about the beach they have there, and beach leaf disease, beach bark disease, all of that.
By the way, before I lose this train, is there a fee for these workshops?
No.
The that's a big deal.
Free. Yeah,
that's a big deal.
In general, most of our programs are free. If there's material costs, then sometimes we do charge. But, so we do have another event coming up because
we want to encourage not just women. We want to encourage women, but others to go. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're free, that's a pretty big benefit.
We love being able to offer that. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. I think Kate was about to mention we do have an upcoming event, a bench building workshop for women. That will be in June, on June 7th, in Chittenden, Vermont. I forget the time, Kate.
I think it's we're going to kick it off with a brunch, I think at 10 a.m., so it's like a 10 to 2. And participants, there is a fee for that workshop, only because you'll actually walk away
with materials.
With a bench that you've built. So we use a model that Aldo Leopold did years and years and years ago. It's a very simple, kind of rustic bench, and the idea is that it gives you a sitting place when you're out in the woods, or if you have a spot that you want to put a bench. It's a really rustic model, and not only you can.
Is it like one outside his cabin?
Exactly. Yes. If you've seen the pictures of that one, that's exactly the model.
I've got pictures of my wife and I sitting there.
Yeah. The cool thing about these benches is that as you probably know, Gary, you can actually sit in them with your back against the backboard, or you can flip it around and actually put your legs through it and use the backboard as kind of a rest for your binoculars if you're a bird watcher. So they're really fun, versatile benches, and they're very easy to build. So we go through all the tool safety and get everybody comfortable using power tools, and then we put the benches together, and then
when it's over, they leave with a bench.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah, your very own bench.
Some other.
More local to this area, and coming up on April 21st, that's a Tuesday in the evening, we're doing an after-school, after-work walk at Paradise Park. That's the Windsor Town Forest in Windsor, Vermont. Yeah. And my fellow county forester, Hannah Dallas, just oversaw a harvest there. She wrote the management plan for the town forest and put together some harvesting that happened this winter. It actually, I think, was just closed out about a month ago. So we will be going and looking at the work that she did. She did work to help enhance old forest characteristics, bird habitat, and grow a healthier, more resilient forest. So we'll be talking all about that close by and coming up.
Okay. What else?
And a couple more topics. We have a spring ephemerals walk in early May down in Danby. We're trying to get a good geographical reach across.
We have ephemerals up here.
But
maybe not tomorrow because we're supposed to get snow tonight. But
spring does come to the northeast here. I know it.
But we try to reach down to southwest Vermont. That is my territory.
Right.
So, that's another evening walk on May 5th. And we'll also, Vermont Audubon is co-hosting that along with the Smoky House Center. But we'll have a representative from Vermont Audubon, and we'll be talking about bird calls that we hear as well, and bird migration. And all the excitement of spring. And then we have a tree planting in Richmond on May 9th. That's the Richmond town warden is a woman, Caitlin Littlefield, and she'll be leading that workshop, just putting in some greenery in the town. I think a little early celebration of Mother's Day, parents and kids and everyone welcome to that.
Well, from what I've been able to find out, you run these programs year-round.
We do. And you can find out all about them online. I know I just rattled off.
That's what I was going to ask.
So many.
So our please, if you're interested in learning more about WOW VT or finding our calendar of events, you can go to our website, which is www.wowvt.org. And we also have a blog that has different information about different opportunities that we offer, and sometimes some tips on stewardship activities and options. So if folks are interested in learning more about WOW VT or Women in Our Woods, they should go to our website at wowvt.org. And like Tessa said, we have lots of programs coming up, but we're just starting to build out the calendar for summer and fall, so there'll be lots more programs coming.
Great. Well, I think our time is about up. I thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have also learned a lot. If I could emphasize that these programs are free, they are female-centered, but males are not excluded. But it's a wonderful chance for women to gain confidence, gain knowledge, and better learn how to manage their own lands. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
So
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Gary.
So where's the big deal?
Holy schmoly, it's Matt LeCuyer from the Autosaver Group, St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Right now is the time to drive the all-new 2026 Ram 1500 Crew Cab. Get 0% financing for 60 months or take advantage of 2.9% for 72 months on all Ram Crew Cabs, excluding RHO. And here's the kicker. Every new Ram comes backed by the industry's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Looking to lease? We've got you covered. If you have a current Stellantis lease, you can drive a brand new 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab Hemi V8 for just $469 a month for 39 months with zero down. St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just past the railroad tracks in St. Johnsbury, Vermont.
Lease based on 10,000 miles per year, 32,500 total miles, 30 cents per mile over. Tax, title, registration extra. Must have a current Stellantis brand lease and household to qualify. First payment due at signing. Special APRs available for well-qualified buyers. At 0%, every $1,000 is $17 in payment.
Don't wait, these offers end April 30th.
All right, welcome back to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge. And we just listened to Gary Moore talking with Tessa McGann and Kate Forer of Women and Our Woods. And as you said, if you want to learn more about that, definitely go to wowvt.org. And as you could tell, that was a pre-recorded segment that Gary talked with them late last week. So that's why when he mentioned there was snow in the forecast, that was last week's. So don't worry. Don't look out the window. Check the. We're not getting any snow. We might get something Sunday, but just a little dusting. Don't worry about that. Well, anyway, coming up, we'll be speaking about weather. Coming up, we'll be checking with Mark Breen from the Fairbanks Museum for your Outdoor Edge forecast, and we're going to play that right after these important messages from our great local businesses.
At R&L Archery, we know it's not just about the thrill of the hunt or the size of the fish. It's about the moments that matter most, the traditions passed down from one generation to the next, and the stories told by the fire long after the sun is set. It's about the journey, the memories, and the time spent together with friends and family, because these are the moments that truly last a lifetime. R&L Archery, where every adventure begins. Come create your story.
We live somewhere incredible, and all of us at the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department want you to make the most of it. Hiking, hunting, birding, fishing, or even just sitting by a stream for a few minutes after work. Vermont's woods and waters make it possible, and protecting them is our responsibility. So we hope you'll lace up your boots and hike an old woods road on one of our wildlife management areas, or put in for a day at the lake at one of our access areas. We protect these places for their own sake, for the wildlife who call them home, and for you.
I'm Mark Breen. Welcome to the Outdoor Edge forecast. It has been a warm week, and although, yes, it is April and we're starting to think about some of our outdoor plans, they in particular start to include things like gardening this time of year. Not that the gardens are ready to put in any tomatoes or anything, but we've got to get the leaves raked off some of the beds and get the soil started to be prepared. And in fact, you can, if you're really anxious, get some things in during the second half of April. It looks like this time of year you might want to be thinking about maybe putting in some onion sets. You can also plant peas. In fact, you can often plant peas right toward the end of March if you can get to the garden. Along with the gardens, there are some outdoor things to do in terms of the rivers and streams. In particular, thinking about maybe doing a little early season fishing. So check obviously with your local regulations. But as you go into the spring, a lot of folks start to think about getting out there on the water. Getting out on the water in terms of boats and so forth, something to be aware of. The water is extremely cold this time of year. And so it's actually dangerously cold. It only takes a few minutes to be in this very cold water before hypothermia sets in. So instead, you probably want to hold off on that just for a few more weeks. In addition, this time of year, we start to see a warming trend so that by the end of April, average highs climb into the 60s and night times start flirting with freezing. Now, generally, most places still have frost right into the middle and usually the end of May, but just kind of giving you an idea of how things are going to transpire. Also, we've got some much needed rain this past week. The ground, of course, very dry from last summer and last fall, so this is helping to catch up a little bit. And until the vegetation really gets going, this is an ideal time of year to catch up on that water deficit, so to say. The vegetation won't be using it up, and it's not so warm that it'll be evaporating. So we'll look forward to maybe a few more episodes of rain. I don't think that's going to be much of a case next week. Next week, the very, very big change in the weather pattern will bring us some much colder temperatures. Highs on Monday only in the 30s and only 40s most of the rest of the week. Night times will be below freezing, so a chilly week coming up. Keeping that in mind, let's take a look at the forecast and take you into the weekend, starting with showers and perhaps some thunderstorms this evening. Some of them could produce some gusty winds before they finish up. Temperatures will stay mild in the 50s. Tomorrow, I don't think we're going to see much in the way of showers, though. Just a few spotty showers in the morning, breaks of sunshine developing in the afternoon, and it will be on the mild side, climbing into the 60s. Tomorrow night, starting out clear, and then there'll be some periods of clouds in the 40s. And Saturday, starting out the weekend with some sunshine. There will be some afternoon clouds. Highs 60 to 65, but they may drop back to the 50s, especially in New Hampshire, as the afternoon wears on. Saturday night, another period of showers, especially after midnight. And Sunday, periods of rain and showers diminishing in the afternoon. There may be some snow showers by Monday morning. That's your Outdoor Edge forecast. I'm Fairbanks Museum meteorologist Mark Breen. Good luck and enjoy our great outdoors.
Thank you very much, Mark. And we just got something that just came in for those that are following Joe's Pond Ice Out. 6:21 a.m. April 16th is when the ice out officially ended. So anybody that is listening to that is whoever got that time, 6:21 a.m. April 16th. That is when the Joe's Pond Ice Out officially ended with the breakthrough in the ice. But anyway, that's going to do it for this week's St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge. Big thank you to Gary Moore and his guests Tessa McGann and Kate Forer from Women and Our Woods for a thoughtful conversation about forestry, stewardship, and staying connected to the land we call home. And as always, we want to thank Mark Breen at the Fairbanks Museum for keeping us dialed in on the Outdoor Edge forecast. So remember, if you missed any part of this show or want to catch it again, you can listen anytime at WYKR.com the next day or on the WYKR app or wherever you get your podcasts. But be sure to join us again on the next edition as we continue to bring you stories, voices, insights across the outdoors. And until then, get outside, enjoy it, and we'll see you next time on the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge.